More and more people are discovering our video resource website, 100huntley.com, as a way to stay in touch with our program content. It's a great way to stay connected when the TV schedule doesn't fit your schedule, or when you're looking for a certain guest interview or topic of interest. Every day after our 1-hour program concludes, one of our production team members cuts up the hour into short segments, labels each one appropriately, and uploads it to 100huntley.com, as well as to YouTube. Why YouTube? Because that's where the world goes to find video content. Over 100 million videos are viewed every day on YouTube worldwide. So it's important for us to be there as well, especially since a recent Canadian survey showed that people now spend more time online than they do watching television. Although you can find our videos on YouTube, we prefer you to view our content on our own unique environment at 100huntley.com. So I encourage you to surf around a bit, get familiar with all we've made available for you. It's also a tremendous resource for churches or small groups. One church contacted me recently and asked if it would be all right to show some of our online Truth to Go teachings as a discussion starter for one of their study groups. I responded back, by all means, that's what it's there for. It's a resource for you. So I thought I'd take a couple of minutes today and help you navigate the site a little bit. So when you type in 100huntley.com, here is the home page you'll come to, and the most recent videos are usually right there on the front. But as we look at the top buttons here, you can see all videos, or specifically interviews, if you report some of our field reports, music, just question and answers, Full Circle, if you're particularly interested in our Friday Full Circle edition, Truth to Go. For example, if you click on the Truth to Go teachings, then up will come all the most recent Truth to Go's. This is a lot from Joe Amaral over the last month. We've had his teachings about Jesus. Stay in touch, my segments that I do each day on 100 Huntley Street, various teachings on various topics and responding to people who've written in different ways and questions and concerns. Web Exclusives is another one that where it's only available on the web, you won't see on 100 Huntley Street. Or you can do a search. And let's say, this week on 100 Huntley Street, you've been watching Dr. William Lane Craig. We've had some little segments from the web that are normally web exclusives, just to show you what's available there. And so maybe you're saying, well, I'd love to see some of his other teachings. He's a great Christian apologist and has some great content there. And so we had him sit down and we recorded a number of these segments. So maybe you want to find him. And so let's just start typing in the search. William, there he filled in there already. Hit enter William Lane Craig. And there you see a whole series of these apologetic short interviews with Dr. William Lane Craig. And as an example, let's just click on one here. Can we trust the Bible? Written 2,000 years ago. And let's see what he has to say.
I often hear students say, well, you can't know anything that happened 2,000 years ago. And what they fail to understand is that the crucial gap is not the gap between the time of the evidence and today. The crucial gap is the gap between the evidence and the events described by that evidence. If the gap between the events and the evidence for those events is short, then how long it has been since the evidence in those events to the present day is just irrelevant. Good evidence doesn't become bad evidence simply because of the lapse of time. And with regard to the New Testament, when we look at the evidence, what we discover is that these records of the life of Jesus were written down within the first generation after those events, while the eyewitnesses were still alive, with people who had firsthand contact with those who had accompanied Jesus during his lifetime.
So you can continue listening on and also get a lot of his other content there available for you. Let's take another instance. Yesterday, Anne was mentioning to me that a friend of hers said a friend of theirs was just confiding in her about their marriage, saying that there was infidelity in their marriage. They didn't know if they could continue on. They didn't know how they're going to handle this. And this person, because they knew about 100huntley.com, told her friend, you need to go on to 100huntley.com and watch a particular interview on marriage that was on Full Circle a while back with Bob and Audrey Meisner, how they overcame that issue. And so let's just see how you might be able to find that. Let's say you're dealing with a marriage issue. And so I'll go back to the search bar and I'll type in marriage and hit enter. And then we get a whole series of interviews. In fact, there's 159 results on interviews from 100 Huntley Street that's dealt with marriage. But right near the top here is Bob and Audrey Meisner's interview. Let's go to, it's in 3 parts because we chop them up, even if it's a longer interview, into 10 minutes or less segments. Let's just go to part 2 and catch in some of this interview here.
He can work with secrets, and I knew that if I didn't tell Bob, there would be a wedge in the intimacy that we had. Even if it took 10 years to destroy our marriage, that eventually that would destroy us.
Right.
You appropriately call it the bomb.
Oh. Yeah.
When did it drop, Bob?
Yes. It was, you know, at work one day, and she came and we were together, and she just was at my feet, weeping and crying, and she began to confess to the sin of adultery. And I thought, well, you know, let's interrogate a little bit here, because she really doesn't know what she's talking about using that word. You know, truly it hadn't become something physical. And, sorry.
That still has to be one of the most painful moments of your life, I'm sure.
It's been
It's a memory.
now, but
Yeah.
But every time that we share our story, I ask the Lord to help me with the emotion, because I want it. I want to remember the pain. I want to remember the grief, the sorrow. I want to remember that, because today there are so many people living where I was. And I know what it feels like. You know, that kiss of betrayal. I know what it is. And so I want to be able to identify with them so that they know, hey, this guy knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I do.
And so that complete interview, you could keep watching there on 100huntley.com. It's powerful. And right there at the bottom of that screen is our prayer line. And so anyone watching it, they can also, if they're anywhere in North America, they can call our toll-free number, 1-866-273-4444. And here's the other thing that I love about this website, is that after watching, you can go down to the share button. Maybe there's someone you know that you can share this with. You can simply hit the email button, and then you type in their email address, and then right away that link is sent to your friend with a little note from you saying, I thought this might be an encouragement for you to watch. And so you can become a broadcaster for 100 Huntley Street and send it out to others as well. So there's just a few features there. 100huntley.com, we wanted to make that available to you. Make sure you know it's there. Tell others about it. And thank you so much for staying in touch.
Now there are even more ways to join the 100 Huntley Street online community. We'd love to hear from you, so stay in touch with us.